Hi guys, welcome to the Mindful Homeschooler. I am so happy you stopped by today. If you're new here, my name is Nicole and this channel is where I document my homeschooling journey, homeschooling my 6th grade daughter and my son who's in pre-K. Okay guys, in today's video, I'm going to take you along with me while I plan the next week or so of homeschool for both my kids. I generally don't plan out my 6th grade daughter's homeschool because I do have a schedule that's the same every week. I also have loop schedules which are indicated, and I've went through all of this in my schedule video, which I'll link below. However, because we're doing so many fall, Halloween, Thanksgiving activities that I need to schedule out, I need to make sure that, first of all, we have time to do it all. And also a lot of them are going to replace like language arts or geography or social studies. So I make sure that I actually have time to do everything I planned. Additionally, for my son, I use so many different programs for him that every single week I do have to sit down and plan his out. So as of today, it is Sunday, October 12th. We just finished a 2-week break where my sister was here from Switzerland with my 2 nephews. They actually just left yesterday. So rather than wallowing, which is what I really would like to do right now, I figured I would get into this, plan some weeks, and try to get excited again about homeschooling. So now I'm going to flip the camera around and get this week planned. All right, guys, so let's start scheduling this next week. I have my favorite pen and my flags in case I need them. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my daughter. And then I'll start with my son and I'll make sure that I have timestamps. All right, guys, so what you see in front of you is Emma's weekly schedule. I don't generally have to schedule it out because I have everything here. And then I just look on these loops to tell me what is next. So everything's pretty easy for her. However, because I have so much fall, Halloween, Thanksgiving stuff, I got to schedule all of this out. I have 3 weeks left in October. So I have several units I'd like to get done the next 2 weeks. And the last week of October, I would like to start our Salem Witch Trial and the Witch of Blackbird Pond unit. This will carry us over to Thanksgiving. I talked all about this and my other Halloween and fall items in that video, which I'll link below. So I'm hoping I can do this the last week of October. I'm going to try and plan at least the next 2 weeks out of all the Halloween stuff with my daughter. So I know for sure that I want to start with this Halloween guide by Jack and Link. I'm not doing everything this year, as I had mentioned in my fall video, but I will be coming back to it next year. It's fantastic. It was $5. Great deal. We're also doing a couple things in All Things Spooky, which I really am excited about. We used this last year and we'll definitely be using both of these next year. And then I also need to plan out my Lake Superior from Spooky Lakes as well. So I've only chosen a few topics from each of these. All right, so I am going to be writing what my daughter's going to be doing over on these weekly overviews. I'm going to try and get all of hers on one page so I can use another side for my son. Okay, so let's start with the Jack and Link guide. I've already got it sectioned off. Okay, so we've got page 4 to 7, spooky celebrations and the history of Halloween. And prior, I had figured out how long each of these videos was before we went on vacation. That just kind of helps me plan a little bit. Okay, so it looks like page 4 to 7 is about Halloween. So that would make sense. Okay, so let's do this day 1. And these 2 videos day 1. I think she's going to want to watch both. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, the craft will not be part of it. So there'll be no activity for this day. So I'm just going to write in here the first thing that I'm going to do, and I'm going to reference the page numbers. Okay, so now that I have it written what I'm doing that day, let's figure out what I'm doing day 2. I'm pretty sure I'm going to read pages 60 to 69 of the Atlas Monsters, and my guess would be these 2 videos correspond with that. Okay, yes, and there's not that much on this page. Resurrection Mary, that was one of the videos. Yes, it looks like this is all linked to those 2 videos. Perfect. Okay, so we will watch, I'll do day 2, and she can choose either or both. Okay, so that's going to be day 2, and there's also a printable or craft. Okay, looks like page 3. Okay, it looks like we can do those page 3 and 4. Okay, so now I'm going to write this in. All right, so the next lesson is read pages 8 to 25 of Spooky Celebrations. You have a printable, and then you have an optional reading from the atlas and a pretty long video. And let me see what that printable would be. I think it's this, where you're gonna pick any spooky celebration. Oh, okay, I like this. I think actually what I'm gonna do for this, I'm gonna make sure Day of the Dead is included in this 8 to 25. Okay. Yep. Okay, so Day of the Dead is here. So I'm going to combine 2 on this day. So we are going to read those pages on day 3. And we will do the printable. Okay, so I'm going to combine this with a guide to all things spooky. I had picked 3 categories: Salem Witch Trials, which we'll be doing later, Frankenstein, and Day of the Dead. So Day of the Dead, I believe, okay, right here. So we read this daily horror. And then we have some questions. I know we're not doing any of the handiwork, and it would be actually cool to watch that short film. Okay, so then what I'll do here is we'll first read, and then the second one that we'll do is we will read the daily horror from, let's do All Things Spooky. And that is on page 4. Okay, and then we'll ask the discussion questions. And that is on page 3. Okay. Plus, I'd actually like to watch the short film. Okay. And that's on page 3. And we're going to put this is from Spooky. I'll know what that means. Okay. And then the 5th thing that we're going to do is we're going to do this printable, which is on page 5. And I'm going to have her do the Day of the Dead. Unless she wants to do a different one, that's totally fine. Okay, so that's going to be page 5. Okay, so now I'm going to input this into here real quick. Okay, so I've gotten all of this written out, and now let me zoom in. We have read pages 70 to 81, Atlas and Monsters, and this video. I think this is going to be another day because that's a pretty long video. She does mention on here that you can just watch 5 minutes of it, but let's see. Pages 70 to 81 is quite a bit. So 70 to 81 looks like it's Central and South America, which I would like to touch on because that's what we're studying right now in geography. So this would be perfect. So we're going to actually have this be a day on its own. So we're going to have that be day 4 this week, along with the video. So that will be pretty easy, and I'm going to mark that in here. Okay, so I have 4 days. I would like to get 1 more day in and do Frankenstein if I can. I don't mind doing something fun like this on the 5th day, like Friday. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to focus on Frankenstein here. So then I can have those 2 parts done. Okay, so Frankenstein here, we're going to be reading Monstrous, page 8 to 21. And then we just have this main page here. Okay, so let's look Monstrous, page 8 to 21. Okay, so here's Frankenstein. So this looks like it will be a bit for her to read. This would be really fun to go over. Okay, so we'll read this for 1 day, and we will do the video here. So we'll do the video, we're going to do the discussion pages, and we're going to read. Okay, so this will be 1 day. I also got this book, Kids Classic Frankenstein. I saw this all over Instagram. I would say we do this as a read aloud, but my daughter will read this in a day, and she's already been eyeing it. So I think I will give this to her when we're done, and she can read it. Oops. And she can read it through the weekend. So this will be our Friday. Okay, perfect. So now I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all ready for next week. Okay, so what I have left is I have 1 week and I have Lake Superior left. Now, I had previously looked at this before we went on vacation, and I'm pretty confident that I'm going to need a whole week. You have a lot of videos and things to read on the first day, and then you have about 5 different activities on here that are pretty awesome, and you've got some videos. So I think this will take a week, and I probably won't plan it right now just for time, but so the next week I will do this, and then the last week of October we'll start on this and carry on into November. That makes me feel better about that. Okay. So now that we've done this, let's move on and start going down her list, her schedule. Let's find where we are right now. And let's go through and see how we're going to get everything planned in. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put, this is the week of October 13th, 2025. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in and let's get going on this. Okay, so let's start with our independent loop. For independent, she's cycling between a few things. So we're going to be doing the gratitude free workbook first. This is where she does her free write gratitude. And then we're going to do her Let's Do School next. And then it looks like we're going to be touching on Sometimes I'm Shy. And then we've got our mental health book, which she's still working through, all about anxiety. Okay, times tables. Where is she on times tables? We've gotten pretty far in this. Okay, so she should almost be done with 8. Yes, she's got one more for 8 and we're done. Okay, perfect. Let's put right here, she's on 8. And this is going to be the anxiety book. And the first one she's doing is the gratitude free write. Okay, and then she has her gratitude workbook and the I'm Shy. She's going to cycle through this. Okay. Okay, so, and this will carry on all week. Hopefully we'll get this book done here in the next few weeks, maybe by the end of October. Okay, so then she carries on to 9s after this. Okay, vocabulary loop. So let's look on the loops here. Looks like the next vocabulary is word ladders. Okay, so we'll have her do word ladders on Monday. And then after that, it would take us into daily doodle. But I actually think I'm going to do something a little different. We've been reading through, we haven't read the last couple weeks, The Only Road. This is our Guatemala book, and we are halfway through. Okay, so I think what I would like to do is, instead of doing daily doodle this week, I think, and let me scroll out a little bit. I would like to find vocabulary and use the vocabulary notebook. I've talked about this so many times. I really like it, and I want us to have a more in-depth understanding. There are quite a few words that I've noticed that come up in this book that she doesn't know, so I think this would be a great opportunity. So I'm actually going to do The Only Road. And what I do is, as I'm reading, I just take note of the page and where it is, so I know where to find the vocabulary word. Okay, so The Only Road, and I will know that's a vocabulary notebook. Okay, so let's look at the grammar loop. So the next one is Hearth and Story, and I mentioned in my update why I'm pausing this. I am going to get back to it, but just not at the moment. So combining sentences. Okay, so we take this. We're getting pretty close to being done. This has been an amazing way for her to learn. She'll take all of these sentences and she will condense them into just a few sentences in this copywork notebook. Okay, so I think this was the last one. Okay, so she'll do this one. So we'll do combining sentences right here. So the next thing that we have is Fix It Grammar. We can definitely do 4 days in 3. Let me see what week we are on. We are on week 8. Okay, so Fix It, day 1 of week 8. And then I'll usually have her do 2 days in 1, or she can carry it over to Friday. Okay, perfect. Done with grammar. Okay, so the next thing, Modern Speller. Okay, here's the deal. This is where we do copywork and dictation. I really want to focus on this novel. I'm not doing a formal study on it, well, kind of, but I would like to take copywork and dictation from passages that we're reading. I've found a lot of them I really liked, and I really feel like mixing it up. So I think we're going to do The Only Road for this. Okay, so what I will do is we'll only do 2 passages. So we'll copywork one day and I'll dictate the next day. And then as it stands out to me when we're reading through this, I will grab it. So while we're on this, let's go to this novel study. I really would like to finish this book in the next 2 weeks so that we can start reading The Witch of Blackbird Pond the last week of October. And I did kind of create something myself, just points and things that I wanted to touch on. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go through this and I'm going to find what's relevant. Let me zoom out. We've already talked about Guatemala, but I want to talk about, I always put circles so I can check it. So I'm going to go through each day and ask the questions and go through things as I see relevant. I don't think we're going to do any projects at this time. I'm going to wait until we're done, especially also with the creative writing. So I'm just going to go through these this week and talk about them. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then we're not doing Mostos then this week. We did do that for a little bit before we went on vacation. And then obviously the read aloud is going to be the only road. I'm just going to put tour because it's a lot faster to write and I will know what that is. Okay. And I don't do this every week. I just sometimes do like combining parts of language arts. It just simplifies a lot. Okay, so for math, we are finishing up 5B. We are almost done. We are going to be done by the end of this month. And moving on to Think Well, I'm really excited. Okay, writing and rhetoric, geography and science, and logic. Okay, let's look at writing and rhetoric. I thought we may not be doing this because of our Halloween studies, but it looks like we are. We are on lesson 6. Okay, so it looks like we have some reading, and then we have the story, which is how many pages? It's actually quite a long story. I think that's the longest I've seen. Okay. And then you're going to do oral narration and outline. I'll tell you right now that I don't have her outline the story. We did a whole workbook on it. And it's just, these stories are just so kind of complicated in my opinion and not as hard for kids to understand. They're harder, for kids to understand. So I'm not going to have her do the outlining. We'll do the talk about it and go deeper. Just trying to see how much of it we have today. We have quite a bit on go deeper. So I'm thinking we're going to read and do the oral narration and the talk about it the first day because it's quite a long story and there was a lot ahead of time. It's like this is definitely getting longer and more intense. Okay, and then go deeper. We have quite a bit. I do skip dictation and copy work just because we do it other places. Okay, and sentence play. So I'll probably do go deeper and sentence play the second day. The third day we'll do copiousness. And then how many writing we have? Change the dialogue, change the point of view, change the protagonist, character adjectives. Okay, so we have a lot. So this will definitely be probably 2 weeks, excuse me. So I think what I'm going to do then is I'm not going to stress about choosing how far I'm going to go. Now that I know it'll probably take me 2 weeks, I'll just probably do 15, 20 minutes and then stop naturally. But we will be doing writing and rhetoric all week. So I'm just going to mark it here so that I know we're going to be doing that. Okay, so for geography and science, we were in the middle of the Amazon unit. And I believe we have 5 more. So here would be Monday's lesson, Tuesday, Wednesday, I don't remember why that's up, Thursday, Friday, and then, okay. So maybe we'll only do this 4 days this week. It would be a bit nice to finish it up. And then, oh, we're starting Peru. Okay, good. Okay, so we will be doing this every day just because I feel like what we're doing in Halloween is not that intense. However, next week when we do the Mint and Bloom Spooky Lakes, we're doing a lot of geography. I may not be doing that then. So I'll just have to see how that's going to go. Okay, and for logic poetry, we're using this for logic. And I have a new poetry coming for me. I'm actually going to be doing a pretty big haul. I didn't mean to, but I've gotten a lot of stuff just in the last couple of weeks. And I think I'll be doing that, but I don't have it yet. So for Friday, what I do is I always do math. I try to do geography and science. Here we're going to be doing Halloween. And then I'm going to add on here every day Halloween. Okay, so I've added this. We'll be doing the read aloud, the only road. If we haven't finished, we'll take out art. We won't do our mental health curriculum loop. We will do geography and science and math if we can. I'm just realizing we're just not doing very much on Fridays. And then anything else that we haven't finished that I want to get done will carry over to here. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my son. So I know for sure that I'm going to do 4 days of Gentle Feast, and we are on letter K. So I'll mark that off. I also am going to mark off right here, treehouse. And we're going to do blossom and root early year. I like to also put here for mental health. And then I like to add math, which math to me, it can be numbers, shapes, logic, sequence, anything like that. I just like to check off to see how many times we've done it because I'm not going to check it off anywhere else. Sometimes what I will do is I will write in what we've done here, but more often than not, I don't really need it because I have the schedules that I showed you previously. So, but I do add things in here so I kind of know everything I need to touch on. Like gentle feast, let's start there. We are going to be doing letter K. Can't believe we are at letter K. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to read the rhyme. So you always start with the rhyme. King Cole. Okay. And then the flashcards. So I got to make sure I have all of them. We're adding in K. So K is kicking king, kicking king. I'm going to need to watch the video to see what that is. And then these are all the ones that he's done, and we review through all of these. Okay, so the first day, she's just having you use these letter pieces right here to create the letter. So I like to do a forming and a sound activity every day if I can. So that's the handwriting. So the sound activity that I like to do the first day is always this alphabet coloring. So let me zoom out a second. I like the way I bookmarked. Yeah. So I'll do K, king, K, koala, K, keys, K, kite, K, kiwi, K, ketchup, K, kangaroo. And then I'll have him repeat it, just hoping to solidify those sounds. So we'll do alphabet coloring. I usually always do that the first day now. Okay. And then the second day, we've got the rhyme and the flashcards as you do every day. Then kick the ball. Kick the ball to your child and have them think of a word that starts with the sound you say as you kick it back. Use this to review. So I'll probably say the word and work with him on that. So that's a sound activity. So we won't do that one. Now a handwriting activity. I'm going to go to my loop here to make sure that I'm not duplicating something that he's done recently. Okay. So for forming activity, I think I'm going to do probably the whiteboard right now. He really is loving that one. So we'll do the whiteboard. That's also very easy. Okay. And then the next day, rhyme, flashcard, handwriting. So this is a sand tray. My sand tray is currently busted and I'm actually getting a new one. So instead of doing sand, let's do the pipe cleaners. I think pipe cleaners would be a fun one. Pipe cleaners. Okay, and then the sound activity. I've really been liking this Brain Quest phonics. It just has a lot of great variety of activities in it. So let's see for K. Trace K, you're going to find the K here. I like that. You're going to identify the K's here. I like that. And here's one on the K sound. And oh, I like this review as well. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to do Brain Quest, 2 pages. And then the next day, rhyme flashcard activity, play follow me. Okay, so I'm going to say these and my son is going to do them. Okay, this is great. I love this activity. We've had this before. So this is a phonetic awareness activity. So I am going to need another sound activity. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the Brain Quest, and there was some writing prompts in there that I'll have him do for both handwriting and sound. Now, I do like to bring in phonetic awareness activities at least a couple times a week. So I feel like this day would be a good day to do phonetic awareness as well. So for phonetic awareness, I'm going to go to the front. I always write down ones that I can reuse. Let's work on his rhyming. Lesson 26 in the teacher guide. So lesson 26, rhyming. Spelled that wrong. And that was on page 24. Okay. I just like bringing it in. I feel like these are the most crucial. Oh, and that's a game. That will be fun. He really did like that one, I remember. Okay, perfect. The read aloud for this week, I did get from the library, Koalaloo. Okay, perfect. So we'll do that read aloud. And let's do the read aloud this day. Voila. Perfect. Because I have everything written out here really easily, that's why I have this here just to mark off that I did day 1, day 2, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel when everything I need for this is right here. Okay, so let's go into Treehouse Schoolhouse. All right, guys, for Treehouse Story School, I love this program. Okay, this week we're doing the 3 Little Pigs. So I like to make sure that I'm going through and checking off that I have all the books. I need Piggy Pie, which I have right here. Perfect. I was able to get, I think, a lot of them from the library. The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs. Good Night Construction Site. Perfect. If I Built a House. Oh, we got some good stuff this week. The Construction Alphabet. Perfect. Oh, and I have another one. The Big Bad Wolf and Me. I wonder where I got this one. Okay. Anyways, maybe that's just one I found on my own. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these 4 days and pick and choose what I want to do and highlight each one so it's very easy for me on that day. So I'm going to scroll in. Okay. I also use these. These are my favorite markers for this. Okay. So I will either do the hand rhyme or listen to the playlist. On music and movement, I just find that works best. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight these. Okay, story time. So obviously we're going to read aloud the book and we're going to use a storytelling basket. So that's going to be a given on the first day. The first day I usually only like to read the first book just because I feel like it's his first introduction to it. Play a guessing game with the items in this week's beginning box. Give clues. So we're not going to do this. I don't generally always do the alphabet stuff just because we have a different program. Use 2 copies of the number cards and play a classic matching game. I think we're not going to do this one this week only because he's been really interested in something else for math. I'll show you. Choose a task that is challenging for your child, like making their bed or tying shoes. Work together and remind them of the 3rd pig's hard work and perseverance as you work. Okay, definitely like this one. I'm going to have to think about what that would be that he's struggling with right now and maybe ask my husband. We're going to do that. Go outside and collect long logs, build a fort to play in. Okay, so he does actually have outdoor school. So we're not going to do this because he does that in outdoor school every week. We're for sure going to do this, but I would like to add a second book. So we're going to add this one, Piggy Pie. And I think I'm actually going to have to add 2 books to this. He loves being read too. So we're also going to read Piggy Pie. And let's read, let's do Good Night Construction Site. Okay, so for alphabet, put out all the cards of the letters you have learned so far. Ask your child to go around the house and find items that begin with each sound. Okay, I would have normally done this, but we're doing something very similar to this in Gentle Feast already. Build 3 houses of different sizes with blocks. Oh yes, this one will be a great one to do with my son. So we'll definitely be doing this one. Okay, life skills. Draw a simple drawing of a pig on a piece of white cardstock with a black marker. Give your child strips of pink construction paper and show them how to tear it off. Yes. He will really like this one. Okay, the 3rd little pig hid in a butter churn, homemade butter. Okay, I can tell you right now, I would love to be the person who makes homemade butter, but I just don't have it in me. Okay, so day 3, read aloud. Okay, so I'm not going to be reading 3 Little Pigs. I generally do the first 2 days and then we read later if he wants, but I always have so many stories. So let's do the true story of the 3 Little Pigs. And then we're going to do If I Built a House. And then play with the movable alphabet together. Review your child's name and practice with uppercase and lowercase. I do like this one. Model making sounds of each letter and blending them together. I think we're going to do this one as well. Show your child how to form the number 2 in their salt tray and give them a chance to try. Review forming 0 and 1. Okay, so he's pretty good with those. He's pretty good up to 5. Show your child some basic tools and what they do. Let them measure something. Okay, so actually I'm going to have my husband do that with him. Collect 5 items around the house in varying weights, like a tissue. Ask your child to predict if it will move with the wind. Yes, I like this science. This is a great way to connect like some sort of science with it. Okay, so I'm going to highlight now. Okay, last day. Okay, so we're not going to read 3 Little Pigs again unless he wants to. We're going to read the 2 books I have left, which is the Construction Alphabet book and the Big Bad Wolf and Me. Okay, Paint the letter P. We haven't got to P yet, so we're not going to do that one. The number cards are deck of playing cards. Use them to play Go Fish. Okay, I actually have Go Fish, so that's great. We will play that. That's a great idea. Work on 2 STEM prompts. Give your child 2 unrelated directions and ask them to follow through. That's a great one. Make mud outside by letting your child spray it into dirt. He really does this at outdoor school. This is like literally what he does. So I'm going to just, I mean, maybe. Actually, let's do that a maybe, depending on weather. Okay, so this week's not overwhelming. The art project is pretty light, which is good because I actually have some Halloween stuff that I'll probably be doing with him. Okay, so let's go on to the last few items I have. Okay, so for early years, I have saved a few weeks of fall stuff. So we have leaf, I think we have apple and spider. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so leaf print mandala, gather some leaves on a nature walk. Okay, I like this because we're actually in a place now where our leaves are starting to change colors and fall. So I always put a circle when I want to do it. Stems carry water to leaves. Show yourself that they, yeah, let's do that one. And I don't know, this is going to be a question mark. I don't know if we're going to go to the grocery store. I usually do pick up. Okay. And then I always do our picture study. And I always, let's see, this artistic expression is clay. Okay, so I've mentioned before that Play-Doh, my son gets pretty frustrated, so I'm going to try it. But if not, then I think we're going to do this feelings and dramatic play. Yes, so we may actually do this one as well. Okay, awesome. Exploring music. This is just tell him he wrote many operas. So we've really been studying him a lot. So I'm not going to be too worried about that this week. Make a letter box and decorate it to include letters. Oh, this would be really special, especially because he's going to start being a pen pal with his 2 cousins that are back in Switzerland. Okay, perfect. And we had already read this previously. We're not going to do in the kitchen. Okay, perfect. So that doesn't seem like a lot. So I'm going to need to now add this week into my planner real quick. Okay, so I've written down everything that I want to do this week for Blossom and Root and the page numbers. Now, if I don't get to it, it's totally okay. What I'll do is I'll put a circle next to what it is, and I just check it off as I go through it, and I can mark it off here. Okay, so the last things that I'm going to look through is for math. I think we're going to work on this for a while. He was really liking this before we left, and he asked to do it again. So I'm just going to do this. I'll probably bring it out depending on how much we have, 2 or 3 times. And have him do that. So I'm not going to plan anything else for math. And then for mental health, I do need to write that down because I like to know what I'm doing. Right now, I like to read this book. I'll read this book probably 3 or 4 times this week. We finished like anger and anxiety and sadness. And now we're going on to like kindness and confidence and stuff. So we'll do this one. And then I want to do these cards this week. I heard your feelings. I have another one of these feelings. What do I do? So I think those are going to be, and I'll just alternate one book one day, this another day. Okay, and then next to it, I'll just check how many times we do it. And I also mark up here when we do it. So this is just for me to keep track of how many times we're doing things in an easy way. And as I'm going through the day and I'm working through days 1 through 4 of Gentle Feast and Treehouse School, I'll look and see, like, honestly, some of the activities are so quick and I really like having structured play for him. So, all right. And so that is all I have. So for my daughter, I know these are the things that I need to check off here. I'm leaving this space open for me to write anything that I need to do. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, as always, I'd love to talk to you in the comments. If not, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.